All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I got a whole bunch of horrible news from China again. Evergrande misses their interest payments. So the Evergrande fiasco is definitely not over. The Dow Jones reverses from it, and Bitcoin tumbles on a China ban FUD. So not only did the markets go down in terms of the stock markets, but Bitcoin fell with it. So the correlation between Bitcoin and the stock market continues. And there was another threat of a China ban once again, which is like, I think, the 13th time they've said it. So the Dow Jones Industrial Average briefly dropped 115 points Friday as China Evergrande missed a key interest payment, and Bitcoin tumbled on China's crackdown. In case you guys haven't been following this, Evergrande is the second largest real estate firm in China. They owe like $300 billion. They are missing interest payments. They're worth a tenth of what they actually owe. And if they fall, not only will investors lose money, but it will ripple across the globe in essentially a Lehman Brothers 2008 light version, and maybe not so light, maybe just a medium version of it, because construction workers, material supplies, and everything else that's even remotely connected to this, and the investors that are connected to all of those, will lose pretty much everything. So Apple and Tesla shares took a breather from their recent rebounds as well. So among Dow Jones leaders, Apple lost of 0.5% on Friday, Microsoft down 0.2%. And after the stock market opened Friday, the Dow Jones Industrial Average reversed 0.2%, while the S&P 500 moved up 0.1%. The tech-heavy NASDAQ composite declined 0.4%. Evergrande let a Thursday deadline pass to pay $83.5 million coupon payment on its US dollar bonds without notifying bondholders. Despite missing the payment deadline, the company has a 30-day grace period before the bondholders can signal a default. So we still got 30 days, apparently. The Wall Street Journal reported Thursday that China is asking local governments to prepare for the potential failure of property developer China Evergrande Group. So that means that China, the government of China, is not particularly interested in bailing this company out. They are just going to let it fall or see what happens. If there's going to be a catastrophic ripple across the world, they might bail them out. But for the most part, they're just not interested in bailing them out at all. And they also, once again, said that they are going to ban Bitcoin. And let me just show you what happened the first time they said that they were going to ban Bitcoin. I remember this. I was YouTubing all the way back then with cryptocurrency, and it was around September when they announced it. So right at the end of August, we were nearly at 5,000 Bitcoin. That was the very first time we ever closed towards $5,000 Bitcoin. It was a huge deal. Everybody was very excited about it. And then China said that they were banning Bitcoin, and they did ban Bitcoin exchanges, one of the reasons why Binance left China, and we went all the way down to $3,100 or less. So from 5,000 to 31 is a pretty significant drop. So Evergrande investors in the dark over $83 million bond payment. So the Chinese firm has yet to make an announcement regarding the payment, which was due on Thursday. And earlier this week, the company said it had struck a deal over interest payment worth $35.9 million. Global markets have been rocked by concerns over the firm's ability to support its more than $300 billion in debts. And Evergrande fell by almost 12% in Hong Kong on Friday after jumping more than 17% the previous day. So their stock used to be a couple years back like $4. Now it is worth something between 30 to 35 cents depending on the day, and that makes their market cap at something like $30 billion, which is a tenth of what they owe. And it's not quite unusual for a company to be in debt, but not this much. And all of the property around these properties, if these properties default, will go down in value as well. So this is a huge ripple effect on the market. This is going to affect Bitcoin. This is going to affect the stock world. And if this doesn't get cleared up, we're going to see some major problems in the financial economy of basically planet Earth. The actions being ordered here were described as getting ready for the possible storm. The move has been seen by some investors as a further sign that the Chinese government is reluctant to bail out the crisis-hit real estate giant. The Chinese government has made major announcements on Evergrande, and the state media has given few clues about Beijing's thinking of the firm's debt crisis. The company is due to make a series of other bond payments in the coming weeks. Under agreements with investors, the company signed a 30-day grace period before the missed payment on the $83.5 million offshore bonds before it becomes default. Some analysts have cautioned that the failure of such a large and heavily indebted property developer could have a major impact on the Chinese economy and could potentially spread to the global financial system. So, not good at all. But moving on to the more specific China Bitcoin ban. Sound familiar? September 2017, China Bitcoin ban sparked 20K all-time high in 3 months. So once again, I'll show you again in September, nearly 5,000. Again, the chart isn't entirely accurate because it's more of an average of multiple exchanges, and then dumped to $3,100. And while that doesn't seem like a lot in today's standard, because we've already dumped today something like $5,000. We were at $45,000 last night. Today, down to $41,000. So that seems like a bigger jump, but statistically it is not. It was nearly a 50% crash just because China said that they were going to ban Bitcoin. And they didn't quite, because there was still mining and there were still people using Bitcoin. But really, they ended up just sort of banning exchanges, and now they're essentially trying it again. But it's sort of misleading in such a way. So hold on just a moment for that. So Bitcoin dipped deeper to challenge 40,000 support during September 24th as the dust settled on what analysis stressed was a false alarm from China. Data from Cointelegraph, Markets Pro, and TradingView showed new multi-day lows for $40,000 Bitcoin. Hodlers had been frustrated but remained unfazed by the news that China had allegedly upped its cryptocurrency ban. This is in fact simply being a reiteration of the People's Bank of China existing restrictions in place for 4 years. So the events had a ring to them. In September 2017, the original ban announcement sent Bitcoin tumbling, only to recover to its original levels within weeks and set a new all-time high of 20,000 less than 3 months later. So Bitcoin, quite resilient, and my next article is a little bit silly, but adds to the fact of the resiliency of Bitcoin. The fact was not lost on longtime market participants, including those in social media, where China news had initially resurfaced and sparked panic. The same thing happened in September 2017, somebody says. China said they were banning Bitcoin, and it dropped by over 30%, but Bitcoin made a full recovery in a few weeks and then hit new all-time highs in December that year. For trader and analysis Wrecked Capital, oh, I love that name. Meanwhile, the sell-off merely highlighted the inexperience of newcomers to the market. BTC investors who have been in the market for a while have heard many different iterations of FUD from China, but newer investors unarmed with this experience are ones who are affected the most. Their panic selling is what is fueling this recent downside. So once again, it's the new people coming on in and selling off. But on the other side, we now have Bitcoin actually being, whether it's psychological or physically being attached. And let me just explain that. So the psychological aspect of the market going down is that, okay, other people are going to sell, so I'm going to sell, and then I'll pick it up later, right? That's like a psychological thing in the sense that there was no reason for everybody to panic and sell. And then there could be a physical aspect that Bitcoin is now correlated with the stock markets, in the sense that if prices in the stock market fall and start to crash because of some kind of FUD or another, and we've seen that over and over, especially with the COVID lockdown thing, Bitcoin absolutely dumped in price during that, et cetera, and we've seen it over and over and over. Whenever there's like some FUD in the stock markets, Bitcoin goes down with it. And that could be institutions actually selling off Bitcoin in order to pay debts and provide liquidity, et cetera, so that they don't actually look bad, so they don't actually look like they've lost anything because they just sold Bitcoin instead. And not as many people are really interested or tracking their Bitcoin, and instead they're just selling it off. And it could be a number of reasons why it's actually correlated now, but it does seem to be the case. Whenever there's a major dip, Bitcoin goes down with it. Is it psychological, or is it an actual physical thing where people are selling it off for liquidity for other debts, etc.? Moving on here, which is kind of funny, and I totally agree with this. Morgan Stanley's Dennis Lynch says Bitcoin's ability to recover is like the character Kenny from South Park that dies every episode. Bitcoin's ability to bounce back from even the deepest sell-off is like South Park's character Kenny to return to life after dying in each episode of the long-running cartoon series. Lynch, who heads up Morgan Stanley Asset Management subsidiary Counterpoint, very long name, say that 10 times fast, was discussing Bitcoin at Morningstar's annual investment conference on Thursday. I like to say that Bitcoin's kind of like Kenny from South Park. He dies every episode, and he's back again. Bitcoin's extreme volatility means it's capable of having a rally of 10% in a day, as it is of falling 10%. It's seen a number of sell-offs this year, most recently at the start of this week when it dropped by almost 9% on a day on Monday, to its lowest in 6 weeks as part of a broader market decline on the back of concerns about indebted Chinese property firm Evergrande. But it's since risen by about 14%, more than recouping those losses. In fact, Bitcoin has fallen by 10% or more on a single day on at least 6 occasions this year, and every time it's bounced back. And yet again, we've had another, and this is over 10% or so, somewhere around there, just today, and it's starting to recover already by $1,000 or $2,000. So this happens all the time. However, this Evergrande FUD is no joke. If this company goes completely under and the Chinese government does nothing about it, it's not just that company and those employees and the investors invested in Evergrande that will go under. It is material suppliers because they build houses, skyscrapers, stadiums, all of those employees, all of the investors that are actually invested in that material supply company, construction crews, everything. Will go down. And, a lot of institutions all throughout the world have bonds through them or an investing through them, and they will have to cover those losses somehow. And that means things will have to be sold. And I will keep you guys up to date with this Evergrande FUD as it goes. I hope it just blows over, but so far it's just not looking like that's going to be the case, but we can always hope. But that's all I have for you guys today. Generally, the market kind of down today. It's just now starting to come back in the last hour, but you can see here in the past 24 hours, 5.5% down, 7.7% down for Ethereum, 8.4% for Binance Coin, XRP's down by 7%, etc., etc., etc. So this FUD really rocked the markets once again. And again, that's all I have for you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Please hit that subscriber bell as well, because you will not get notifications about my video unless you hit that subscriber bell. Because of the way that YouTube operates, they won't show you your subscription feed. So please hit the bell and you will be notified the moment I go live or the moment a video is uploaded. But that's all I have for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, I'll see you guys next time.